Hi friends, my name is Angela and welcome to my YouTube channel. We are in the middle of winter. We are in the coldest week so far this winter and I have been reading all the books and it has gotten a little bit out of control in terms of how my books are being stored. So today we're going to get into some book organization. This could be chaotic, it could be nice and relaxing. I'm not sure where it's going to go. What I do know is I have a TBR that is a little bit out of control. I have books strewn all around this room. I have library books mixed up with books that I have read, I have not read, books that I've been lent or gifted. I need to just kind of get it under control. So let me just show you. I'm in the room where I've been reading the most at the moment, and let me show you. Okay, so first of all, this is where I do most of my reading, and I have like a pile of books down here, which are books that should be to be read, but then I also have piles of books here on the sideboard which should be vacant, and this is a mix of, I've got everything here. Look, I've got even some seed catalogues here, which is a bit out of control. But then I also have my wall of TBR. It's not exactly a TBR shelf, it's a wall of books that are my to be read pile, but you can see there are gaps, and I think what's been happening is that I've been taking books off this shelf and I have been putting them down here as books that I would like to read next, and it's not working right now. So what I want to do is really tackle this entire wall of books here that are all of my to be read books. So this is just one area that I want to get under control today with you, my TBR wall, for lack of a better word. But all of my books are pretty much in this room, and so I really wanted to kind of get under control and catalogue them, organise them. At the moment they're just haphazardly put in based on maybe size or space available. But the problem is that I'm coming to, I want to share a video with you guys, and then I want to find that book to maybe brush up on something, and I can't find it, and I know it's here. So that's a bigger project that I want to get done. But today we are going to do some old-fashioned organising, because I do love being able to come to one shelf, one area that are all TBR books. And the problem with this is that I know on other shelves in this room I have books that are unread, and they just didn't fit in here at the time I last organised it. So I want to bring them in because I have been attacking my TBR and I'm very proud of that. So I have this is about three problems, I guess, is that I know I have other books throughout the room that are unread books that should be in this area. So that's one thing, because I go here first when I look for a new book to read. And according to Storygraph, I have 120 unread and owned books. So we need to get that number down. The other thing is that on this shelf, I know there are books here to be read that are not on a high priority list for me right now. So for example, I set a goal at the start of the year to read 5 classics in 2025, and I am halfway through that. But there are classics on here that would be within that kind of field that I'm not going to read this year, like Moby Dick, Anna Karenina, Les Miserables. I'm not going to read them this year, so maybe I should not have them on this area here. Maybe I should kind of build another TBR somewhere else that I can't see, because the problem is that this is the first shelf I really see when I walk in this room, and I get some major guilt when I see that Moby Dick is still there 10 years later and I have not read it. So I feel like I need to remove them for a bit, and then maybe that will help me get over that guilt. You know, when the books are just calling to you from the shelf, I want to kind of take care of that. And then I have these piles of books on either side of the chair that are a mix of to be read, library. I need to organise them because I've already had to extend my library loans because I couldn't find all of my books. So what I think I'm going to do first is organise these piles either side of my reading chair, figure out what books are unread, what books are read, what books I'm currently reading, what are library ones, get them out of there, and then I will tackle the shelf. So this is a good example of a couple of books that shouldn't be here. These are like almost anthologies, and these aren't books that I'm probably going to sit and read like I would read a novel or a memoir or anything. So these are good examples of books that shouldn't be anywhere near this shelf. They should be elsewhere. I got hold of Nesting, which I hope to read soon. These are a couple that my mum just loaned me or gave me, and I keep seeing this pop up everywhere. So she said both of these were excellent books, so I can't wait to read them. I started reading this book. If you follow my Substack, I wrote a little bit of an article about the Salt Path this week and how I am, like, I just started reading it and then what hit the fan. And I'm kind of torn whether I should keep reading it or not. Anyway, you can jump on my Substack and you can read that article. I just finished reading this and it was amazing, absolutely amazing. I did a read along this month for Burial Rites by Hannah Kent, and I was 2 chapters into Burial Rites and I went and bought her memoir that just came out in Australia this month or last month. Fantastic. Okay, this pile are the books that I am reading, and some of them I am actively reading, others I have started reading and I stopped. I mentioned a while back that I was going through this phase of just finding it really difficult for books to keep my attention. So the books I've got on the go actively is Hilary Mantel's Wolf Hall. I am enjoying this one. It's probably the one that I want to read the most right now. The Children of Green Know by Lucy M. Boston. I am really enjoying this. I've never read it before. I like to kind of keep a children's book on the go if I can. So that one is definitely still going. The Horse and His Boy by C.S. Lewis has not got my attention as much as the other 2 books that I've read so far of his, but I'm like 5 chapters in. I've already got 1 children's book on the go, so I might just pause this for now. A Grief Observed by C.S. Lewis. I wanted to read it before I did my video about grief, which thank you so much for your amazing comments on that video. And I'm so grateful to those of you who were vulnerable enough to let me know that you were going through a grief of your own and that you really resonated with some of what I said in there. So thank you so much for that. This was a book that I was reading in preparation for that I didn't finish, but I feel it's one of those books I just want to take my time with. I'm only a little bit through, but look, I'm like defacing this book, which is probably going to trigger a lot of you. It's really great, and it's one of those, it's similar to The Year of Magical Thinking, where I just want to take it in snippets and really digest it and then come back to it again. So this one, still going. Beartown by Frederick Backman. It's my first Backman book, and Beartown felt like the right one to start in the middle of winter. I'm only a short way in at the moment. I might pause. I don't know if I should pause it until I finish reading Wolf Hall. So far I've got 3 on the go according to this. I do have another one in my bag. I'll keep this one going. Henry David Thoreau's Walden and Civil Disobedience. I started reading this in late summer. I didn't get very far in. I don't even have a bookmark, but I have started to tab some pages. So this one can continue to be on my TBR. Susan Sontag, I started reading it, but it's on my TBR. A Single Man, I got halfway through, and I just didn't keep going with it. I'll probably pick that up again in spring. October, I have never read this before. It's another, you would call it a middle grade, so like pre-teen kind of book, and I have never read it before. I really am enjoying it, but again, I already have a children's book on the go. The Salt Path. I don't know what to do about that. Room with a View, I am a quarter of the way through. And the Iliad. Homer's The Iliad. I am up to book 10. And there are 16 books? 24 books. I think I'll keep this going and I'll try and read like maybe 1 book a week and we'll see where that takes us. That leaves my current books I'm reading as this pile. Plus 1 more I have in my bag, which is The Winter Soldier by Daniel Mason, which is sublime. Oh, that's much more palatable than that big pile I had a moment ago. These are all the to be read books that were in that big pile just there. So I can put these on that shelf, or I can put them elsewhere in my house if they're not really books that I'm going to be reading soon. So let's get into the shelf. Okay, so this is my TBR shelf, my TBR wall. And you can see all the gaps in here. So I've got room for the books that I have recently bought to put them on here. But more importantly, I firstly want to go through this and I want to pull off books that I know I'm not going to read this year. I think that is going to be a better way to approach this than me looking at it saying, I want to read that this year. I'm going to do the other way around. Eliminate rather than add. See, I've read this. I have read this book. This is a biography of the Apostle Paul and it is fantastic. The audiobook is really good too. But I've read this book. This is feeling really good. Getting some of these books off the shelf is feeling very, very good. Another book I read, and it has a boarding pass in here. I read it when I was in France in 2013. What else are you going to read in France than a book set in the south of France? This is a good example. This is a book of poetry. I'm really not going to read this like I would read a novel. So this is a good example that really should not be on here. I had been prattling on about Paradise Lost for such a long time because all these gardening books I was reading mentioned it, and a friend of mine bought it for me for my birthday. She was so sweet. So I have that now. So thanks, Michelle, for this epic poem. It's another book of poetry I found, which I got at a secondhand store for $5. It's the poetry of Henry Lawson. It doesn't need to be here. I'm not going to read this like a book. Oh, rain or wind. Crikey. This is my husband's. It's not mine, but it fits in here. Look at all this room I have now for these guys to get on here. Okay, that feels pretty good. I now have one. Look at all these gaps I have here. So I think what I'm going to do next is organize the books that I do want to put on here into categories on these shelves. In the past, I've just organized by size, which is great aesthetically, but it's not good when you're a mood reader. And if I'm looking for a non-fiction book or a historical fiction or something funny, so it's hard to find that stuff on these shelves when it's just organized by size. I haven't yet gone through these ones on this loose pile, but like in terms of books that I know I want to read this year, but a lot of these books I have just recently purchased, so the chances are high. So I'll just continue to edit as I go through, adding them to here. First thing I need to do is look at the other shelves and see what other books I have elsewhere in this room that I have not read. There's a few. Okay, so I attempted to read this last summer and I just couldn't get into it. I read maybe a third. So there's this one. Limberlost by Robbie Arnott is definitely one I would love to read this year. Atonement by Ian McEwan has been, it's really been like this carrot that's been dangling in front of me that I really, really, really want to take, and I just haven't psyched myself up for it. But this winter, I have read some hard books, some big books that I didn't think I'd ever be able to. So I think that one will be okay to do this year. Chloe by Katrina Kell. I bought this for my mum, maybe for her birthday last year or for Mother's Day recently. And the thing with my mum is I buy her a book and then she finishes it and gives it back to me. So it's not a bad little ploy on my behalf. This one is interesting. It's like a dual timeline, and she's an Australian author, and this is what the book's about. Created in Paris in 1875, Chloe, Jules Lefebvre's depiction of a naked water nymph was brought to Melbourne's Young and Jackson Hotel in 1909, where it has hung ever since. In this passionate, luminous retelling, Katrina Kell seeks to unlock the riddle behind the girl on the canvas known to history only as Marie. In doing so, she weaves the compelling story of an incandescent spirit, a woman with the strength to defy the boundaries of class and convention in order to survive. I thought it sounded really good and my mum enjoyed it. It kind of reminds me a bit of the synopsis for Jock Sarong's latest book, which is Cherrywood, where it's like there's these dual timelines of this feature in a historic place and they go back and kind of write the story. So I don't know if I'll get to that this year. And then I have this one, The Bookseller at the End of the World by Ruth Shaw. It's been on my bookshelf for a while. I just came across something in the last couple of days about this book where it really was not a great review, where they felt they knew that there was going to be some stories outside of the bookshop environment, but that they said that it just felt very somber, very sad at the end of it. So I don't know if that's something I want to get into. I'll pop these two down in my maybe later pile. Okay, now comes time for the organisation. Was I thinking keeping this on my yes, I'll read this in the next 6 months? This is turning into my Australian fiction. I'll keep my slightly foxed ones elsewhere. Huge gap up here for more books. Okay, so it's not an exact science because some of the books are just too big for the shelves, so I've had to consolidate. But this top one is kind of like historical fiction, literary fiction, maybe. There's a couple of classics in there. This is most definitely turned into like a historical, not historical fiction, a little bit of mystery, murder, and then at the end I have the children's books. And then this one here is looking the neatest and the most organized, and this is most definitely like fiction town. There's some heavy hitters in here. I finally bought Never Let Me Go by Ishiguro. I did read Clara and the Sun recently and I was not a big fan of it. This one I'm waiting for summer to read. This sounds like a perfect beach read to me. I finally bought The Frozen River. I will try and read that, I think, before winter is over. And then down here I have like a bit of memoirs, non-fiction, and then these are a couple of historical fictions that I couldn't fit up here because of the size. And now this has left me with this higgledy-piggledy kind of shelf. So I'm going to fix that up. I forgot all about my books that I had as that I'm putting on hold from reading. I forgot all about them, so I need to find a home for them. I honestly cannot wait to read this, but I'm trying to space out all of my Tudor, Plantagenet, War of the Roses reading. I can't wait to read that one. So there we go, there's my new TBR. I'm really happy with how this has turned out. I need to find room for these other books that I wanted to get off here, so I need to take care of that still. Let me know if you're interested in seeing me tackle the rest of the room. I've got 1, 2, 3 more like lines of shelves, and I need to organise them. I really wanted to kind of organise them before I even think about adding another bookcase. I definitely think I'll probably add a bookcase of kids' books in a bedroom rather than have them out here all the time. But let me know if you're interested in following that journey. I don't know how this is going to turn out. It could be very chaotic and that could be a good thing for you, or it could be very relaxed and that could be a good thing as well. Either way, I am chuffed with my new TBR shelf and the books that I'm going to read very soon. Very exciting. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope this was a bit of fun for you. It was a great project for me to finally get done and to bring you along on the journey. If you watch this video all the way to the end, leave me some sort of hurrah at the bottom to celebrate my achievement here. I've been avoiding this for such a long time. Thank you for joining me on this little journey. Next week I'll be back with my wrap up of the books that I have read for July, and that's going to include the read along book that I read, which was Burial Rites by Hannah Kent. So if you have read that book or you are reading that book with us, you've got until next Wednesday, till the end of the month, to get that done before I share my little review about the book. But yeah, I can't wait to share that with you then. So have a wonderful day ahead of you and I will speak with you soon. Bye.